A 5'5" grocer's son from Kansas, glasses, bad eyesight, wrong height, walked into a U.S. Air Force recruitment office and told them he wanted to be a fighter pilot. They almost laughed him out. He would go on to make history that no human being had ever made before or could ever make again. James Jabara was born in 1923 in Muskogee, Oklahoma. His parents were Lebanese immigrants who had crossed an ocean with nothing but determination, eventually settling in Wichita, Kansas, where they opened a small grocery store on Murdoch Street. Young James worked that store every day after school, stacking shelves, serving customers, a quiet, unremarkable life by every measure. But inside that boy's mind burned a fire nobody could see. From the 6th grade onward, James Jabara had one dream and one dream only: to become a fighter pilot. He devoured every story about the great American ace, Eddie Rickenbacker. He read every aviation novel he could find. While other boys dreamed of baseball, Jabara dreamed of the sky. There was just one problem, actually two. He stood only 5 feet 5 inches tall, shorter than the standard requirement, and his eyesight was poor enough to require corrective glasses. For most young men, either obstacle alone would have ended the dream. Together, they should have made it impossible. But James Jabara was not most young men. In a story that tells you everything about who he was, he began eating 20 carrots every single day, convinced it would repair his vision. It didn't. But that stubbornness, that refusal to accept what others told him was impossible, that would define every chapter of his life that followed. When World War II broke out and Jabara walked into Fort Riley to enlist, nobody gave him much of a chance. He proved every single one of them wrong. By October 1943, James Jabara had his pilot's wings. Against all odds, the grocer's son from Kansas was now a commissioned second lieutenant in the United States Air Forces. His aircraft, the legendary North American P-51 Mustang. His theater, Nazi-occupied Europe. His very first combat mission sent him over Belgium to destroy German railroad targets. He was 20 years old. On one early mission over Germany, while escorting Allied bombers, an enemy pilot put a burst directly through his cockpit and blew the canopy clean off. Jabara was now flying at altitude with no protection in temperatures well below freezing. Most pilots would have turned back immediately. Jabara pressed forward, shot down the German aircraft that had just attacked him, and flew home. Then came something almost impossible to believe. During one formation flight, Jabara's P-51 collided mid-air with another American plane. Both pilots survived by bailing out. In yet another mission, his aircraft collided mid-air with a German fighter. Both men parachuted safely to the ground, and when they landed, they walked toward each other and shook hands. By the end of his 2 tours in Europe, Jabara had flown 108 combat missions. He had been shot at, frozen, collided with twice, and survived every single time. His fellow pilots had given him a nickname that would follow him everywhere: the Cigar Kid. Because no matter what was happening around him, Jabara always had a cigar. But the war that would define James Jabara's legacy hadn't even started yet. The Korean War changed everything about aerial combat. For the first time in history, jet-powered fighters were meeting jet-powered fighters in the sky. The Soviet Union had supplied North Korea with a new weapon, the MiG-15, a swept-wing jet so fast and so powerful that American pilots flying older propeller planes were completely outmatched. The United States answered with the North American F-86 Sabre, and in December 1950, Captain James Jabara arrived in Korea with the 4th Fighter Interceptor Wing, the first F-86 unit deployed to the entire theater. The battleground had a name that would become legendary: MiG Alley. A narrow stretch of sky over northwest Korea near the Yalu River, where Soviet-trained MiG pilots waited every day for American aircraft to appear. American pilots knew that flying into MiG Alley meant flying into a trap every single time. Jabara flew into it anyway, mission after mission, day after day. On April 3, 1951, he recorded his first confirmed kill, a MiG-15 destroyed. A week later, a second, then a third on April 12th, a fourth on April 22nd. 4 kills. The entire Air Force knew what that meant. One more, and James Jabara would become the first American jet ace in history. One more, and he would claim a title that no human being had ever held before. The question was not whether it would happen. The question was whether he would survive long enough for it to happen. May 20th, 1951. Jabara was flying his 63rd combat mission over Korea. His squadron swept into MiG Alley looking for a fight, and they found one. Multiple MiG-15s appeared. The order went out: jettison your external fuel tanks, drop the extra weight, prepare to engage. Every pilot followed the order, every pilot except Jabara, because his right external fuel tank refused to release. It was stuck, jammed. His aircraft was now asymmetrically loaded, heavier on one side, carrying extra drag, burning more fuel, far harder to maneuver. By every rule of survival, Jabara should have disengaged immediately and returned to base. He refused. With one hand fighting the controls and the other on the throttle, Jabara forced himself into a turning dogfight with a MiG-15, arguably the most dangerous thing a pilot can do in an already struggling aircraft. He maneuvered, he waited, he positioned his F-86 behind the MiG, and he fired. 6 .50 caliber machine guns opened up. The round struck the MiG directly. It caught fire and began to fall. To confirm the kill on gun camera film, Jabara dove after it, following the burning aircraft down through the sky. And then, climbing back up to rejoin the fight, James Jabara did something that defied all explanation. He found another MiG. He attacked it. He sent it spiraling downward in smoke. His aircraft was now dangerously low on fuel, still asymmetrically loaded, still fighting 2 MiGs on his tail. He finally broke away only when 2 other F-86s arrived to cover his escape. His 5th kill, his 6th kill in one mission with a broken aircraft. James Jabara had just become the first jet ace in the history of the world. The news spread across America within days. James Jabara, the grocer's son from Wichita, had done what no pilot in history had ever done. The Air Force sent him home against his wishes, straight into a publicity tour he never asked for. His family's grocery store on Murdoch Street was mobbed for days. Wichita held one of the largest parades in the city's history. He appeared on radio and national television. A song was written about him, That Jabara Bird. The Cigar Institute of America sent him a full case of cigars. Hollywood came calling. But James Jabara was not built for parades. He was built for the sky. He requested, and eventually received, permission to return to Korea for a second tour in January 1953. This time he was a major, and this time, with nothing left to prove to anyone, he shot down 9 more MiG-15s. 15 kills total, all against MiG-15s, all in jet-to-jet combat. He was now a triple ace, and the second highest scoring American ace of the entire Korean War. For his actions on May 20th, 1951 alone, he received the Distinguished Service Cross, America's second highest military decoration. The man they had almost turned away, the short kid with the glasses who ate 20 carrots a day, had become one of the greatest fighter pilots in American history. James Jabara continued flying long after Korea. He flew the F-104 Starfighter. He flew the B-58 Hustler, America's first supersonic bomber. In 1964, he was training NATO pilots in Europe. By 1966, at just 42 years old, he had become one of the youngest colonels in the entire United States Air Force. And then, he volunteered for Vietnam. Because that is who James Jabara was. He had never once stopped running toward the fight. On November 17, 1966, Colonel Jabara was traveling with his family on leave from Vietnam, riding as a passenger in a car driven by his 16-year-old daughter, Carol Ann. In a construction zone in Florida, the car lost control and rolled over. James Jabara died from his injuries. His daughter, Carol Ann, died 2 days later. They were buried together in a single grave at Arlington National Cemetery, not far from the grave of President John F. Kennedy. Today, an airport outside Wichita, Kansas bears his name. Every year, the United States Air Force Academy awards the Jabara Award, given to graduates who demonstrate the greatest achievement in aerospace. A grocer's son who ate carrots to fix his eyes. A short kid who wasn't supposed to fly. The first jet ace in the history of the world. James Jabara proved that history is not made by the most gifted, or the tallest, or the luckiest. It is made by those who simply refuse, no matter what, to stop.